Which cast is the best Saturday Night Live cast? Why will that show possibly be on until we're all dead? And a special interview with Steve Rains. All that and more today on the Number 2 Show. Hey, what's up, you butt nuggets? What's up, Bow Patrol? Welcome back to the Number 2 Show. I'm your host, Rafe Williams. I appreciate you being here with me today, and I got a great show for you. I'm excited. I got a segment that coming up with a buddy I recorded last Friday, and we had a really cool thing happen last Friday, and I'm going to talk about it right now with my bud in a segment I like to call 15 Minutes with Rizz. Welcome to the show, my sidekick for the next 15 minutes until he walks out of here, Scott Rizzuto, everyone.
And I will just get up and walk out.
Yes, you will.
I love it.
It is nice. It's actually fun to just like be talking to no one. Be talking to you one second, no one the next.
Poof, gone.
Yeah, poof, Yafo. Little callback there from the other show. So part of one of the segments I have prepared for today, Riz, is I interviewed my buddy Steve last Friday when he was here, and we had us a nice moment on the Number 1 Show, on the Rizzuto Show last week. We had Kevin Farley in as a guest, who was Chris Farley's brother. He was here in town doing stand-up. Mm-hmm. And my friend Steve works at Second City in Chicago, and he had cut out a piece of drywall when they did a remodel that Chris Farley had signed before he was on Saturday Night Live, before he was famous, when he was just a young improviser, with a twinkle in his eye. He'd signed the wall. It said, I'm wearing deodorant now. Just love Chris Farley. And we gave it to Kevin Farley live on the air, and I think
it was a very sweet moment.
Yeah, I think he truly appreciated it.
He was here. I thought he was choked up. I mean, he was speechless. He was not expecting such a presentation.
Yeah, I think he thought it was a bit.
Yeah, exactly. How many wacky morning shows does he do promoting a stand-up comedy? Where something wacky is going to happen, but this was like a real moment of sincere, like, hey, we're all fans. This guy came down from Chicago specifically to drive this piece of history to you. Yeah. And I thought it was really cool, and I thought we caught him off guard a little bit, but in a good way, where I thought he was really, really appreciative of it. Well, I think people don't know that Second City is like the minor leagues for Saturday Night Live.
Can be, yeah. There's really places that SNL pulls from quite often, and it's Second City, Chicago, the Groundlings in L.A.,
yep.
And that's like a Will Ferrell, Kristen Wiig. And there's other places in Chicago, too, like The Annoyance is a little smaller theater, also Improv Olympic.
Well, it used to be like
I.O.
Upright Citizens Brigade.
Yes, UCB is also a place they pull from. That's the Amy Poehler. But those 4 theaters specifically, Second City, Improv Olympic in Chicago, UCB Theater in L.A. and New York, and the Groundlings. A lot of SNL alums, if you looked it up, come through those theaters. There are other people. There's stand-ups, and there are other routes on to SNL, but, man, that is kind of where people get... it is the minor leagues of everybody. Everyone there has the dream, of being on SNL, whether they admit it or not. Yeah,
to the bigs.
Yes, and that used to happen like that. Used to be just Lorne would be in the audience one night. Like, hey, Lorne Michaels is here, or sometimes it was Seth Meyers. Like they would send people that were Lorne's right hand people. Tina Fey, Seth Meyers would be in the audience at a show, and they'd be like, hey, they're in the audience tonight. They're watching. And they also do SNL audition shows up in Chicago. I did a tape for them one time and got a call back. Nothing happened from it. I never got an in-person one, but it's nerve-wracking, man.
I can imagine.
If you ever went back and watched any of the SNL audition tapes, like would people actually go to New York?
Yeah, famous one is Will Ferrell.
Of course,
his audition tape. I know Dana Carvey tells the story of Lorne coming to see him do stand-up, and I think Cher was with. Like it was a random person came with Lorne Michaels to see Dana Carvey. I want to say it's Cher.
Man, as if there wasn't enough pressure on you.
Came with him to see what is potentially a life changer.
Sure,
it's crazy. But what's crazy to me is is your buddy had the wherewithal to take this piece of the drywall that all these people had signed.
Yeah, he said, it was a crying shame because he said there were Eugene Levy and Chris Farley and Helen Hunt was on the thing. Like there were so many celebrity and people that had gone through because SCTV was Second City TV back in the day, and that was like.
I used to watch that. It was on. Would they run those on Comedy Central? I would watch John Candy and Rick Moranis and Eugene Levy and Dave Thomas. I loved Second City TV.
Yeah, and Martin Short. I mean, a lot of heavy hitters that never were actual SNL cast were on SCTV, Second City TV. So a lot of those names were on the wall too. And he's like, man, Second City kind of did this rebrand. They expanded. It used to be like a small theater. Upstairs, downstairs, had like the developmental theater upstairs, the big theater downstairs, and they bought half the city block. Like if you go to Second City, Chicago now, man, it's
huge.
It's like a mall. Yeah, everything's in there. There's the Harold Ramis cafeteria where you can go and get food, and there's like a bust of Harold Ramis.
How did nobody save that wall, that famous wall of people signed stuff? It's in the garbage.
I don't know.
It's in a landfill.
And I talked about that with Kevin Farley in the hallway after the show. I said, man, because he went through Second City as well. He knew exactly where that came from. Sometimes the magic is backstage, the nostalgia. Like when I go backstage at a theater when I'm doing comedy and when I do the Fox or I do the pageant, wherever, and I see the people that signed the wall. I signed the Fox Theater right next to Waylon Jennings. And I thought that was the coolest thing in the world for me. My name is up there next to Waylon. Forever. Like I hope they don't paint over it. I signed inside the O of a giant Oak Ridge Boys thing. They told me not to do it. I did that. They took that one down, but the Whalen one's still up.
Right.
And it's bizarre to me. Like there's some magic and nostalgia and some it feels sacred. It feels like a temple, and it's almost like to paint over that or to tear all that out and just put in regular drywall.
Sacrilegious.
It feels a bit sacrilegious. So I'm glad that the relic of Chris Farley could be saved and passed on to his family, which was super cool.
Well, I'm glad to be there for that moment to see a grown man speechless. And I'm such a Chris Farley fan. We've all seen Tommy Boy.
Sure.
And, we all know the famous Chris Farley sketches. To even be, I don't know. I felt like we'll never know Chris Farley. Chris Farley died back in 96, 97?
Mm-hmm.
We'll never know Chris Farley. That's the closest we'll be to a piece of Chris Farley history.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of cool. And knowing his brother, who's such a nice man.
He was a very sweet man.
And for that to happen in front of us is just amazing. I can't thank your buddy Steve enough.
He was amazing, and we'll get to that soon. But I want to ask you an SNL-related question.
Yes, go ahead.
As we get into
I'm an
that.
SNL enthusiast.
Me too. I feel like we're the same age. We grew up on SNL. Mm-hmm. Favorite SNL cast? Scott Rizzuto, I'm throwing this out to you. Do you have a favorite SNL cast? Is there
why
was there a year or a period where you were like, this is my people's? Because I have a theory about this, but I want to hear what you say first.
No, and I tell you what, I don't think I can say which one, because remember they used to run old episodes of SNL on Comedy Central.
Yep.
So I loved the Phil Hartman, Jan Hooks, John Lovitz, Dana Carvey, Mike Myers, and then you roll into the later years, like as the crossover with those, with that crew and Sandler and Spade and Chris Rock and Will Ferrell, and I loved Will Forte and Bill Hader and Kristen Wiig. I don't know. It was, I liked it all, and they all had their own thing. Like, you watch like the Phil Hartman, years with like, Caveman Lawyer, or
great.
even like, when David's, when Adam Sandler is the Pepper Boy. Hello, Pepper Boy. Stuff like that.
All the Weekend Update characters of Sandler, like Opera Man and Cajun Man,
Right.
and Halloween. Give me some candy, like all the stuff. There was a specific cast, I think, where the overlap was Hartman was still on. He was kind of what was left of the Hartman Hooks.
John Lovett's
era, because Hartman helped in a couple auditions. I think he came in maybe for Lovett's or Carvey. I can't remember, but he came in and helped somebody, did a character. But there was a little bit of a hangover where Hartman was the elder statesman that was kind of bringing in these young guys, Myers, Spade, Farley, Sandler, Carvey. This was peak Wayne's World. This was peak Sandler doing his a lot of his bits. I think that's Farley also was on that cast. I think pound for pound, no pun intended, because I think that was
probably, since we're the exact same age, I think probably for me as well. Because if you look even earlier than that, and it's like the Joe Piscopo years and Eddie Murphy years, that seems too old for me to be a favorite. Now, they had their good sketches.
Sure.
But the Sandler, Phil Hartman, Chris Farley, Mike Myers, Dana Carvey, those years were, I think, my wheelhouse.
So 1993 SNL cast, Carvey, Myers, Rob Schneider, David Spade, Chris Farley, Kevin Nealon, Tim Meadows, Phil Hartman, Chris Rock, Adam Sandler, Ellen Cleghorn, Julia Sweeney, Melanie Hutzel.
Yeah, I mean, that
Al
was,
Franken. That was a pretty...
Who was doing Weekend Update? Was that Kevin Nealon at that point?
That was probably Nealon at that point, and it was good. I liked when I'm Kevin Nealon, and that's news to me. And, and that was probably, how old would we have been in 93?
Sophomores in high school, freshmen, sophomores.
And I feel like, so if we go back.
15 years old?
Yeah. Go back to 91, Dennis Miller's doing Update. You got Carvey, Sandler, Meadows, Farley, Miller, Myers, Nealon, Spade, Jan Hooks, Phil Hartman's still there, Rob Schneider, Chris Rock, Al Franken. To me, that was the cast, because my theory on this is you kind of discover SNL when you're about 13, 12 or 13 years old, which for us would have been, what, 91?
Yes.
78? Yeah, 91. So this, to me, this is my favorite cast. I did like the next class as well. I really enjoyed the Forte, Will Ferrell, Sherry O'Terry, Chris Kattan.
Yeah.
Iteration of SNL. I thought they were as good. But I think for some reason when I talk to people, whoever I talk to, Zane, do you watch Saturday Night Live? Who's your favorite cast?
I really like the Will Ferrell.
Will Ferrell?
Okay. How old would you have been when that was on? Probably close to that age? Because I feel like there's a moment that, like, it's frozen in time when your sense of humor kind of comes online, right? And you start to realize what you find humorous. Like, maybe I'm a little more sophisticated sense of humor.
My kids now don't know SNL.
Yeah, that's strange to me, because I feel like maybe it's because the proliferation of entertainment is different now. That used to be, if you were at home on a Saturday night and you got 3, 6, and 12 on a black and white TV in your bedroom, or maybe a little color TV if you were rich, SNL's on at 10:30. What else are you putting on at 10:30 at night? By yourself, you're hanging out with your best friend, you're having a sleepover, you're trying to watch something on TV. You're probably watching Saturday Night Live, right?
Yeah, if you're home.
I mean, I was home at 13. I wasn't out gallivanting around, and I think that's part of it too. Is like
I think since they were rerunning them a lot on Comedy Central.
Yeah,
that's where I got the bulk of my SNL.
Yeah. I loved it. I lived for it. I couldn't consume enough of it, man. I would go to school. You're doing lines, Hans and Franz, and we're here to pump you up. Like we're on the playground. You're Wayne's World, and that's when all the SNL movies really started taking off too. I feel like in the 90s,
movies,
turning sketches into movies, whether it was Wayne's World or
Coneheads, or It's Pat even.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I forgot they made It's Pat into a movie. That's crazy. Never do that
somebody
today.
famous did a rewrite on that. Was it Tarantino? Somebody famous did a rewrite on It's Pat, and you were like, and it was so out of left field.
Like who it was?
Yeah. I looked that up. Continue.
Quentin Tarantino, uncredited rewrite of the script. Wow.
Okay, I was right.
So he has
Tarantino.
made 10 movies. His 10th movie was It's Pat. It's interesting to me, though, and I took an SNL class with a guy named Mike McCarthy, like how to write for SNL. He wrote on the Eddie Murphy, which I don't think he gets enough credit for, the Eddie Murphy, Joe Piscopo era. I mean, those were the reruns I watched. All the best of Eddie Murphy's, Buckwheat Sings the Hits,
Right.
James Brown, Celebrity Hot Tub. Like, man, Eddie Murphy was a force to be reckoned with on SNL.
Who's your favorite Weekend Update?
Dude, that's tough for me. I really liked Norm Macdonald. I liked the way that he did it. It was almost a point of absurdity. Dennis Miller was also really great.
Dennis Miller was my favorite.
He was great. Kevin Nealon was great. I even liked Colin Quinn. A lot of people didn't like
I didn't
Quinn.
love the Colin Quinn years.
I
didn't appreciate him enough. Nor did I appreciate Norm Macdonald enough when he was on.
Yeah, and honestly, man, whenever they went to 2, when it was
Seth and Amy.
Yeah, it was Seth and Amy, then it was Amy and Tina. Those were always good. They haven't really had a bad Weekend Update host, in my opinion. Chevy Chase, I don't remember. I don't know who did it.
Charles Rocket.
I'm not familiar with that. He might be the one that's off the chain. But did you watch the SNL? I didn't know until I watched the SNL movie on Netflix that originally Lorne was going to do Weekend Update. That was going to be his contribution to the show as the producer. He, in the first rehearsal, started to do Weekend Update, and he was not getting laughs and was very dry.
Right.
And I think he realized that being in front of camera was not for him, and then Chevy Chase ended up taking the gig.
Yeah. Hey, listen, it's my 15 minutes, and I got to roll.
All right. Well, we got
That's
to the
it for
bottom
me.
of that. See you later, Riz.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
He's out of here. And one of the things that I learned for the listening audience, because I don't want to leave you dangling with information, is when I took this class with Mike McCarthy about SNL, I feel like what happens is there's a binge and purge at Saturday Night Live where there's a cast that gets big and they all start to get famous and the show gets hot and then they all leave for careers. Eddie Murphy leaves to go make movies. Chris Farley, Adam Sandler, David Spade, everybody exits and a new cast comes in. And every time a new cast comes in, everyone's like, Saturday Night dead. It's over. This sucks. These guys aren't funny. And they're always wrong. They're always wrong. There's always like a new star comes to take their place. It just takes time for the new cast to find their footing. There's a lot of politics going on behind the scenes at SNL too. Like sometimes new sketches don't get on. I mean, I love the Kyle Mooney, Beck Bennett days when all those guys came on from the little YouTube show they were doing. The Please Don't Destroy guys are really funny right now. There's always a new crop of talent coming in, and everyone thinks this is it. This is the end of this show. It's been on for 50 years. I mean, 50 years is an accomplishment to still even be relevant. And I get what Rizz is saying. Maybe it's not as relevant as it used to be. With the proliferation of entertainment, it's kind of hard to, the Tonight Show is not as relevant as it used to be. The Oscars aren't as relevant as they used to be. There's too much media to consume for anything. No one's going to have the market share of Johnny Carson or Ed Sullivan in this lifetime again. There's just too many places that you can consume media. But SNL still finds a way to be relevant, even at the 50-year mark. And Mike McCarthy had told me, and he wrote during the SNL, the Eddie Murphy era. He wrote for a couple seasons. He's like, everyone is so quick to say, SNL's winding it down. It's going to be over. But he made the point it'll never be over because they pay so little to the people. Like that. Let's see what the average SNL cast member makes. Average SNL cast member salary, $3,000 an episode. Okay, so let's just say they're doing 25 episodes a year, right? Maybe more than that. Let's just say 25. If the average is $3,000, $168,000 to $315,000 a year is what they're paying each cast member. That's a lot of money, but in terms of Hollywood, that's nothing, dude. That means your whole cast You got 10 people on the cast. You're maybe $2 million in for an entire cast of talented, talented writers and performers. And you don't need everybody to hit. Think about this, like how much money Lorne makes and how much money the studios make. GE owns NBC. When a Eddie Murphy hits, or a Mike Myers hits, or Chris Farley hits, or Kristen Wiig hits, or Will Ferrell hits, and they make 20 movies. They come and they make movies for the NBC Peacock Studios. They make shows on NBC, Last Man on Earth, 30 Rock, Tracy Morgan, all of these people that come out of SNL. You only need one person to hit every 10 years for that show to pay for itself. And that's something that I found really interesting when I took that class, and it made me realize that, like, this show, some people speculate this could be the last year, that Lorne's going to call it at 50. And I think Lorne might hang it up. He's getting up there. But he'll have a successor. Maybe it's Tina Fey. Maybe it's Steve Higgins, who's been his assistant for a long time, was also Jimmy Fallon's sidekick. Maybe it's Seth Meyers. I don't know. But that show is so lucrative in the long run, and it's so cheap to pay all the cast members. I could see it. It may be a show that was on when I was born and will still be on when I die. And that is a crazy thing to think about, that there's a television show, a comedy show, that has, 50 years, someone's lived and died in that time. Someone has been born, had kids, become a grandfather, and died. Someone has had kids, become a grandmother, and died in the span of time that SNL has been on TV. And that is a major accomplishment. But anyway, that's the SNL segment. And I'll be back after word from our sponsor with a very special interview I did last Friday with my buddy, Steve Rains. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the number 2 show. That concludes 15 minutes with Rizz. And now, man, I'm excited because this episode, I have a very special guest who drove a rental car all the way down here from the Windy City, Chicago, Illinois. My best bud, one of my pals. We've been doing comedy together for a long time. This feller used to be on STL Up Late with me. And we've done a lot of sketch comedy, improv comedy, and stand-up comedy together. One of the funniest dudes I know from Afton, the pride of Afton, Missouri, but now resides in Chicago, Illinois. Please make some noise for Mr. Stephen L. Rains. Stevie!
It's an honor to be here on the number 2 show.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you. How you doing, bud? How was the trip down, man?
Trip down was good. Hit a little bit of traffic. But first stop in, Jack in the Box.
No J and the B in Chicago, huh?
No. So about once annually, I make an appointment. I call in.
What do you get? What's your go-to at Jack in the Box?
Last night at about 9 p.m., I had 10 tacos.
God damn.
This isn't, unfortunately, I'm not being hyperbolic.
You're not. You are one of those. I have 2 friends, you and my friend Mark, who I am enraged with jealousy at your metabolism. Like, you guys burn like a furnace. Like, I've never seen 2 bigger pigs just eat trash and have no repercussions whatsoever. It pisses me the fuck off.
Look, buddy, I operate like a hummingbird. I like to load up for the season and fly south to Mexico.
Yeah, brother. I think when you sleep, dude, you're like at a low hum. You don't need grounding sheets. This motherfucker is a grounding sheet. Like, when you can hear the frequency of a bee when it's sitting still on a flower petal, I'm pretty sure when the bees vibrate in a ball and kill other, like the wasps, that's how your body's constantly vibrating. You got to keep a power bar by the bed. Wake up at 3 a.m. and eat it, or you'll die. Like, you'll die in your sleep, dude.
I'll fall out. I need my sugar water.
So you had 10?
10 tacos and a chicken sandwich, which $12 in and out with buttermilk. I dunk them in buttermilk.
Yeah, you got to dunk in the buttermilk ranch. Those tacos, first of all, it's an x-ray of a taco. It's a fucking translucent. When you pull that taco out of that fucking paper, dude, it is a translucent mystery meat X-ray where you're just like, what's in there, dude? Just grease and paste. It's a beef paste.
Yeah, I like to take it out of the sheath and wave it like a Polaroid.
Yeah, it's good. And then you take it out. Let's see what develops. It's a taco, baby. Looks like we got another taco, baby.
A taco again, baby.
So this taco's terminal.
It's time for you to dance with a little bit of buttermilk, baby.
You ever just peel the crackly part off and just eat the grease stain by itself like a little grease empanada?
A grease popper. I actually like to open it up and read my future.
There's a lot of people don't know there's a little piece of paper inside. If you break open a Jack in the Box taco, there's a little fortune inside and it says diarrhea, all of them.
If the meat is on the left side, it'll be a prosperous year.
It's that year of the dragon. What's the I'll tell you what, Jack in the Box has got a pretty good breakfast burrito. They got 2 of them, and they're both pretty fucking money. I mean, they will give you acid indigestion like no end, but, man, they're good.
Interesting. I've never had the breakfast, but I hear White Castle I would advocate for. They got real eggs that they're cracking on the griddle. And then my buddy is talking about recently Taco Bell, which I think should be illegal.
Yeah, me too.
To eat before
at all
12 in the afternoon. At all, period, whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm a Taco John's man. We all know that. Well, congrats on getting some Jack in the Box while you're back in the city.
Thank you.
I don't think about that sometimes, like stuff that's regionally not like. There's no Taco John's here, and I'd kill for one. It's the best, but we live and we dream. I heard a Whataburger's on the way, thanks to Patrick Mahomes. So
really,
you never know. Next time you're in town, might be a Whataburger, bud.
I heard Mom's Deli moved. That's a big.
Yeah, they moved into Dado's old spot there on Hampton. This is getting really regional, but they Mom's Deli moved over to Hampton, so we lost Dado's, but we kept Mom. So Dad moved out. Mom took Dad's place.
You know, they painted the fire plug on Hampton and Chippewa.
Yeah, you're not going to believe this. They put in a new stoplight right there on Gravois. So you came down today. This is recorded on a Friday. You came down today because we had Kevin Farley, Chris Farley's brother, on the number 1 show, the Rizzuto Show, the other radio program I'm on. And you work at Second City. Now, we've done a ton of sketch and improv and things like that together. We've had a lot of fun together. You went through the conservatory at Second City, and you worked there in the maintenance department. Got a lot of keys, I assume?
A lot of keys.
And you had, they remodeled, and you cut a piece of drywall out because they were getting rid of all this nostalgic drywall that had Chris Farley's, had signed it and written something on the wall, and you wanted to get that back to the Farley family. Yeah.
Yep. That was, they remodeled the bathroom, and there's, like, I guess around, I think this is a common occurrence in a lot of theaters and comedy clubs where people that pass through sign the wall, but, like, a lot of the cast that is on main stage will sign the wall, you know? Mm-hmm. And he was in there, and right when I started, the first time I started, I worked there and then left and then come back like a year or so ago. But he was right there above the toilet tank, and I was like, whoa. I was always a huge fan. So they, sometime around COVID, I think, when, like, they were dealing with trying to build a bunch of stuff to isolate the actors so they get the shows back on, remodel the bathrooms. And so we tore all that drywall out, and I was like, we got to save this here because big fan. But, and then we reached out to his brother, like, a while back, and he was like, that's awesome. We'd like to have that. And then I just kind of hung on to it. We never really met up, and then you hit me up.
Yeah.
And was like,
now's our chance.
Now's our time. And it seemed like he was pretty happy to have it. So that made me happy. That's cool.
Kevin Farley seemed legitimately a little choked up. At first when you handed it to him, and we'll play the footage here in a second. At first when you handed it to him, I think he didn't know what it was. And he seemed a little, I was like, oh, he just kind of was like, oh, thanks, pal. And I was like, oh, okay, I thought maybe. But then I think the more he looked at it, he actually started to get a little emotional on camera. I think that like it really did mean a lot to him because he doesn't seem like, you know, when you grow up in the shadow of an uber famous, like a star, he has a lot of jokes about, you know, be it Don Swayze or Roger Clinton or, you know, I think he has a joke where he's like, a guy came up to me in an airport and was like, I know Jim Hanks. And he goes, okay, why are you telling me that? And he goes, because you're kind of like Jim Hanks. And he goes, all right, fuck you. I'm going to go get on my plane now. But I think that when you handed it to him, man, he seemed like moved. And did he say anything to you after the show out in the hallway? It seemed like you guys were chatting it up.
He was just like, that was really awesome, and we're going to frame it. He's like, we're going to frame it. We're going to hang it up. He's like, that was kind of my early foyer into, is that the right word? Foyer?
Sure.
Venture into stand-up or like comedy. Because he's like, I just started comedy later. He's like, really, it was Second City that got me and Chris and stuff. We were like, oh, wow, you can go this route with it, with sketch and seeing shows there. Because they weren't far away. I think they grew up in Madison.
Yeah.
So he was like, yeah, that was the kind of the place that got us started. So he's like, there was a ton of memories and stuff, you know?
Yeah, man. And I think that was a cool, that's a nice full circle because you've had that thing for a couple of years. I know I've seen it and we've been like, man, we got to get this to their family. And I think that's a cool thing to deliver to somebody that's, you know, he just put out a graphic novel kind of like about the whole Farley family. And he seems to embrace his brother's legacy as opposed to having some sort of disdain or, you know, feeling like he's lurking in a big shadow. He just seemed like a really cool, genuine dude. So I'm glad you got to do that, man. I want to show. So we've done a lot of improv and a lot of sketch together and a little bit of stand-up. I've taken you on the road a couple times, and you're still doing all that up in Chicago. You're writing and you're doing stuff, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to show, real quick, I want to show a sketch that we did that I'm very proud of from our STL Up Late days. And this was, sometimes when you work in sketch comedy, you have to believe in an idea when no one else does, and that you can make it funny. And I think we pitched this 10 or 12 times before they finally let us do it. And the entire premise of this sketch was a guy slipping on a hot dog. I think you threw it out there. No one liked it. I got on board with it, and I was like, this thing's got legs, baby. And it was the whole premise of this sketch was a man slipping on a hot dog and threatening to sue the show and the audience, and he clearly had planted the hot dog himself. So I'm going to play this from STL Up Late real quick.
And we're going to get right... Okay, I'm sorry, really quick. Something is going on in the audience. Josh, can we get house lights up to see what's going on here? What happened?
Oh, my hip.
Oh my gosh. All right. Okay, sir, are you okay? Hold on a second. Can we get our page out here? Where is our page? We've got a page to help us with this. Yeah, can you help this gentleman up here? Right up here.
Somebody help.
Okay. Sir, what's going on?
Oh, I don't got any health insurance, man. I wish y'all really wouldn't have left this hot dog out here, man.
What?
Oh, man. They're going to have to amputate my leg now or something, man. I wish y'all would have cleaned this up.
I'm sorry. Sir, I'm really sorry that you heard.
Now, at this point, I'd like to point out, no one in the audience knows what the fuck is going on. Like, we were in the audience of a show, a live show. We didn't explain it ahead of time. We're getting real audience reactions. Half the audience gets it, and the other half of the audience looks legitimately concerned as if you had actually fallen on a hot dog. We'll let this play out.
You hurt yourself. Do you need an ambulance? Can I call an ambulance for you or something? Can I help you?
I seen it. This man slipped on that carelessly placed Frankfurter, and since it was no fault of his own, I sure do hope he is compensated properly. Oh, my neck too. Oh, my neck too.
Oh, wait, hold on. You did not have that neck brace a minute ago. You just put that neck brace on.
Oh, my eye must have got some. Oh, my eye.
Now your eye has a bandage on it.
Where did you get an eye bandage from? You didn't have that before either. What's going on?
Oh, Lord, man, when I fell in STL Up Late LLC, LLC had failed to clean up this here hot dog, thus resulting in a hazard to me as well as everyone in the audience.
Okay, yeah, but what happened to your eye?
Well, the hot dog must have flipped up and blinded me. What about my wife and kids? Who's gonna pay these expensive bills? Oh.
Okay, sir, look, I am sorry that this happened to you, but we don't even sell hot dogs at STL Plate. You clearly planted that yourself.
I seen it. I seen it.
To be clear, because we sound the same, this is me as his witness who's dressed exactly like him in a mechanic's uniform. Matching mechanic's uniforms from the same auto body shop.
This total complete stranger slipped and fell on a slippery wet hot dog here at STL Up Lake LLC, a subsidiary of Up Lake Entertainment Ltd, and now his femur has shattered through the skin. I certainly hope he gets some help with those hospital bills.
Okay, his femur shattered through. No, it did not, first of all. Second of all, strangers, you guys are wearing the same outfit, basically. And if I close my eyes, I don't think I could discern the two of your voices apart, all right? So I'm sorry if I don't believe you.
Oh man, I don't have any sort of health care. It's such a shame that STL Up Late, LLC Productions, originally founded in 2013, August of 2013. Oh, if only you had had a well-placed sign or something, I wouldn't have hurt myself beyond repair.
Sir, look, I am sorry that this happened to you, but look, the hot dog was not our fault, all right? Okay, so this is not on us. Davey, can you just help him up or something? Maybe just.
Okay.
I barely touched him.
It seems as if one employee of STL Up Late has dislocated my shoulder. I seen it. This man was clearly injured by the negligence of STL Up Late LLC, owned and operated by proprietors Joshua Benton McNew and Eric Laverne Christensen. And I surely hope that somebody's going to make this right in accordance with clauses 4 and 5 of Article 12 of Amendment 127-9 of the Missouri-Illinois State Court of Appeals as it pertains to corporate liability when one falls on said premises.
He sings
Who
it.
are you two, all right? My middle name is not Laverne. That's the one thing you didn't get right, okay? All right, look, I'm sorry that you fell, sir. That's terrible, and we'll try to get you help. Look, guys, all right, we're going to try to settle this when we're on break, okay? So let's take a break, and we'll be right back. I'm sorry about that.
Have you been injured slipping on a hot dog, bratwurst, or frankfurter? If so, you may be entitled to justice and compensation. With over 277 open court cases, we are the Midwest's largest firm in slipping on processed meats. Other firms don't cut the mustard. So call Mark and Mark at Mark's Mufflers and also Fancy Lawyering Center with offices in Poplar Bluff, Missouri and Alton, Illinois. Dial 1-800-OOO, mention this ad and receive $5 off your next oil change or something.
And insane. I just wanted to show that because, one, we're wearing the other Mark, the other person who has the metabolism I talked about. We were wearing his actual auto body shop, and that was a really fun sketch that sometimes when you're in comedy and you work in a writer's room, some ideas don't sound good on paper, and they end up being really, really fun when you play them out. That was one of my favorite things we did when we were on that show together.
Yeah, that was cracking me up. I forgot so many parts of that. It's been a while since I've seen that. That was partially, I think, inspired by someone I actually knew in real life that would pull slip and fall scams.
Yeah, really?
He would have like his brother go into the grocery store and knock over olive oil. And then he'd go in there and slide on it and try to get a claim.
Trying to sue Schnooks.
Yeah.
He was the Schnooks bandit.
Also had a whole lot of lizards in his living room.
That tracks. I feel like anybody that would have that kind of grift going would be someone who keeps reptiles.
They're cold-blooded. They can I can identify with the cold-blooded.
I had a friend who had an iguana named Dude growing up. And every time we go to this dude's house, man, this fucking iguana was going ape shit. I mean, just the meanest, and it was big. It'd be like up on the curtains, like whipping its tail at us, and he'd be like, "Whoa, dude is in a bad mood today."
Throw him a slice of bologna, calm him down.
Yeah, that's what, every time we'd go there, he'd be like, "Oh, dude seems to be most rambunctious today," and I'm like, "Bro, I've never been here where this lizard didn't look like he wanted to kill us." He keeps making excuses for it, like the lizard's having a bad day, like it just found out its wife cheated on it or something. I'm like, the lizard's just a dick. No one could touch this thing, and it would just like skitter about the house, and it was big, dude. It was the size of it was a big iguana. It was like the size of radio flyer wagon, big enough that I was like, this thing's a real danger in the room.
And they'd just let it go free range in there?
Oh yeah, dude. It would be up on the curtains. Then it'd like skitter past you and go up the stairs. Sometimes it'd come sliding down the banister out of nowhere, and that's alarming.
You just catch it on your computer, checking your emails.
He's outside smoking a cigarette by the pool, slapping your girlfriend on the ass. You're like, "Hey, I think your lizard's trying to fuck my girlfriend." He's like, "Well, dude, that's really out of character for dude." He just kept making excuses for him.
I will turn off your heat lamp. Get inside.
You know that rock that I keep above the water for you to sun yourself on? That's going bye-bye, mister.
You're back in the dark ages, buddy.
I'm not going to scrub your scales off with a toothbrush if you keep acting like that. You see these crickets? I'm going to dump them out. Like, I don't even know how you threaten an iguana. Like, how do you effectively threaten a cold-blooded creature that can whip you with its tail and cause impending doom? I do not know.
The iguana would just take too long of bubble baths.
Well, dude used up all the hot water again. That's highly unlike dude.
He was the alpha.
He was the alpha in that house. I'm always wary of a man who keeps reptiles.
Yeah, snake.
Yeah, I got another buddy. I went to his house and got too high, and he put too many snakes on me, and I didn't enjoy it. You have a snake. Are you afraid of snakes, or was that Bobby?
That's Bobby, terrified of snakes.
Yeah. You tortured him at a show. Our friend Bobby J. Cox, you put snake on him at a live show, and he did not enjoy it.
The trade-off was that I had to eat deviled eggs, which, looking back, is a hilariously uncomparable fear.
Yeah, because deviled eggs are amazing.
Deviled eggs are a nightmare, brother.
Oh, man. This is where our friendship really has a rift.
Here's what I will say. You brought me closer. Our ellipses overlap with egg salad. You opened up.
I did. I did get you on the Venn diagram of egg salad.
So I'm moving closer, but something about the springiness of a cold egg.
Oh, we're going to get you. I'm going to get you, bud. One day I'm going to slip a little. You're going to age into it. You're a dad now, so you're going to age into deviled eggs.
Yeah, slide into one and won't even remember.
Yeah, speaking of creatures that dominate your life, how is your new dad, first-time dad? Congratulations. Clap it up for old Stevie Raines, father.
Thank you very much.
Had a little girl.
We named her Richard Simmons. Richard Simmons Range.
Which your wife's Peruvian. I assume that's a Peruvian name.
We both were big fans of the late exercise. Tycoon, would you say?
I believe he's a tycoon, yes. And
Force?
And little Richard Simmons is what you call her. Which is nice. You got her out there making little baby sweating to the oldies videos, which, seems like child labor, but, if it's working for you guys.
But, yeah, it's an interesting new development.
How does, being a first-time dad, stuff could sneak up on you. What about that first real black poop? Did that scare you?
Meconium?
Yeah.
That's what it's called. It's called meconium.
Yeah. You don't tell you about that.
Yeah,
Black is cold, dude. Black is the fucking pit of hell.
Which it sounds like some sort of superhero weakness.
It does, yeah.
Sir, unfortunately, there's meconium.
Yeah. Little did Superman know my entire suit was made of meconium.
Goo goo gaga.
Goo goo gaga, son of Krypton.
Meconium is entered. Wah, wah, goo goo gaga.
How did you feel whenever that first black dump came rolling out of her?
Pretty good, because I think it's one of the, like, okay, she's passed her meconium, and, she farted and cried, and those are early, you're terrified the first, still, but the first 48 hours.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You're like, I think I slept 13 seconds.
You're just afraid someone's going to come take them from you. Like, they're going to figure out you don't know what you're doing, and they're going to come and just take the baby.
Yeah, we had her, and then they moved us down. They're like, all right, you're in the labor delivery room. Now we're going to move you down to the, mother and baby area wing or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then they're like, okay, Dad, here's a couch for you to sleep on, and see ya. And you're just like, I have no clue what I'm doing.
Yeah. What was that like? Did you take your shirt off and go skin to skin? Do the old did you have like a midwife coaching you through it? What was your move?
Yeah, I did skin to skin, like shortly after.
You're like, my shirt was off the whole time. I came to the hospital, shirt off, ready to rock and roll.
I pulled it off in the OR, and they're like, sir, please put it back on.
We're in the middle of a C-section, sir.
I just had a baby. Woo!
Put that baby on me. You were
sick, Doc.
You had a little target you drew on with the paint people used to paint themselves for, like, sporting events. Put that baby right there.
I had a beer hard hat on, 2 bushes in there.
Hell yeah, dude. You had a D on each butt cheek. When you bent over, it spelled Dodd.
Me and my wife's pretty chill, so we were trying to just make the birthing experience just like a pretty kick-ass party, and like,
yeah,
just
dude.
like beer and just like pretty kick-ass tunes.
Like the birthing tub. We actually put some Coors Light in the birthing tub, man. So like kind of a one-stop shop for the party.
The doctor was sick. He let me put on some incense in Dave Matthews Band, so we were just like,
it's tight.
It was pretty tight.
The baby actually like came out like during the fever pitch of crash into me. The baby just like, came busting out of her vag, man. Like, the baby punched its way out of her vag, dude. Came out, its little hands. They said this never happens, but its little hands came. I saw 4 little fingers pull my wife's vag apart and they just pop out, dude. Crash into me.
I started to have like a moment where I'm, getting like she's crashing into me, and I'm like,
it's very apropos. It was weird because she like already had a puka shell necklace on when she came out, and I was like, how the hell did that even get on her?
Crash into me. You mind if I sing a little bit? Crash into me.
That's great, man.
Yeah, I wrote a little something.
Yeah, isolate that. We'll use it. We'll use that in future episodes. So baby's healthy, about 8 weeks now?
Yeah, getting close, 7, 8, somewhere around there.
You got a unique dynamic that a lot of people don't have, which is you had before the baby. Your wife is Peruvian. Mm-hmm. What's the baby's actual name?
Maya.
Maya, beautiful name. And you had a live-in mother-in-law.
Still do.
Still do, which some would be like, that sucks. But you are like, nah, love it, because with the baby, it's tight. You got an experienced person on call in the next room.
Massive. I don't know how you have a child with just one other person in your house.
Like if it was just you and your wife, do you literally think that you would not be able to cope?
I think we would, but it's just, man, having someone there to just be like, especially someone that's had children.
Yeah.
It's not just like she's a roommate, a third room,
and has an emotional tie to the baby.
Yeah, and you're like, oh man.
Yeah, it's not like you didn't put out a Craigslist ad and got a struggling actor living with you, and then you're like,
Floyd.
Oh, by the way, in about 3 weeks we're gonna have a new roommate, Maya, and you are gonna be responsible.
Floyd's great with the baby.
Yeah, I met Floyd down at the Circle K, and he just needed a place to stay, and turns out he's great with the kid, man. Seriously. He's a good dude. Taught her 3-card Monty.
He usually fixes a Slurpee machine down there, but turns out he can fix a baby crying. He's pretty good.
He's good with his hands and his heart. So having mother-in-law there, how much percentage-wise, what's she take off you guys? What's the load she's lightening for you?
Oh, I mean, huge. 30, 33.3.
Okay. She's really pulling her share.
She's in, dude.
And does she work?
She works. She works in the evening. So,
So when you go, so you got shifts.
yeah, during the day. But I think the most critical part was in like the early stages when you're like, what do you do when she's screaming?
Yeah, she won't stop crying.
She's like, it's fine. You know, I've seen this before. Boy, I don't know if we're picking it up, but it's thundering. Like the angels are bowling up there, baby.
Oh, yeah. Thunder does the talking, lightning does the work. That's
But
how,
yeah,
Grandpappy
she would.
taught me that.
Yeah, the early weeks and stuff. You know, that was where you're freaking out. You're like, I'm a terrible father and person, and I don't
Yeah.
know what to do. And then she's like, I got it. Boom, and then the baby's passed out. And you're like,
hell yeah.
that's that.
Gonna put on some
Grandma
Trailer
magic.
Park Boys and let Grandma take it from here.
I'm gonna go watch Severance.
Nice. We're both big Severance heads. We can't get into the spoilers on here, but we both love that show. Now, final question, has this experience of becoming a dad and having a live-in mother-in-law and having a wife from a different country, these are all really unique experiences. Do you find, have they invaded your writing yet for comedy?
Yeah, almost immediately.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think that's a good well to draw from. If you found that it's coming easier now, that you're not trying to pull topics out of midair and you're just like, I'm just going to write about this wild experience that I'm having.
Yeah, I think so. It's just like a whole new wing has opened up of different things that I encounter that you can't plan for, you know? But, yeah, I'm trying to write a sketch about a cowboy lactation consultant.
Okay, give me the pitch. Good way to end it after we showed sketches and talked about sketch and improv.
Just because, like,
Give me the 90-second pitch and let's build this cowboy lactation sketch together right now. Let's do it. Let's show them a little behind the curtain.
it's one of the early like things in the hospital is like, and have you spoke with a lactation consultant? Would you like to? And they're always like the bubbliest, nicest, feminine presence. And they're like, you're doing good, Mom. I just thought it'd be funny if it was like, if you want to speak to the lactation consultant, we do have one, but he's a little bit unconventional, but he's never not had a baby latch. And he's just like, comes in. How you doing, ma'am? He's got some unorthodox way. Pardon me, ma'am, but you mind if I latch on?
Yeah, it helps me a lot. Honestly, I'd like to do what I call point of view birthing, point of view latching. If I get on there and I get a good feel for, the shape of the areola and maybe the best, there's a lot of avenues for the breast milk to escape the teat. And if I know where the good juice is and I know how, let me tell you, within 8 seconds, 100% latch. I'll get this little puppy latched on for you.
Pardon me, miss, but I notice there's a little forthcoming. But and he pulls his hat off real slow and goes, you mind if I latch on? I would be more than happy to latch on.
This seems, excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm her husband. Sir, I'm sure you're very good at your job, and I don't want to, we drive a Tesla. And we're very sex positive and very much for equality. I actually voted for Bernie Sanders as write-in twice.
Look, Junior, you want this baby on the teat or not? If she don't eat milk, she gonna die.
Okay, well, I mean, if it's life or death, is it absolutely necessary for you to latch on to my wife's nipple?
Ma'am, I'd be more than respectful if you just allow me to latch on and coax a little milk out.
Sir, I hate, again, I'm not judging you, and I hate to point this out, but you have a very broom-like mustache that is littered with different color breast milk, as if you've been going room to room, latching on to several women.
Why don't you
I'm
get
not
out?
accusing you of anything, but this almost seems like you're taking advantage of the situation.
Why don't you go away and play Pokemon cards or something?
Well, that was a very spot-on guess that I am quite I do like Pokemon Go, and I don't like that you nailed it in such a way. But, I'm trying to be open-minded, and I'm not saying that we have to have a female lactation specialist, but can you run me down at least your credentials?
Well, I worked on a dairy farm since I was about knee-high to a grasshopper. That was my first experience with lactation.
Okay. All right. How many years did you do that?
Then I transferred over to the maternity ward at First Memorial. And in my 28 years, I'd never have a baby not latch after 5 minutes in the room with the mother and the baby. Now, you want to keep on getting in the way of things, or you want this baby to just go on to factory formula?
You want this baby on Isomil? Huh? With the bone density of a goddamn sparrow? Step aside, son.
You'd probably like that Pikachu, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Why don't you go wrestle yourself up a Charizard and I'll do the man's work. If you had any salt, I wouldn't have to be in here.
Here's $10. Go down to CVS and buy a pack. Maybe there's a sparkly card in there.
Now, what I like to do is, I started out as an orderly, worked my way up. Because I don't believe anything should be handed to a man. But, 2 years into the maternity ward, I had babies latching left and right. They call me the latch man. That's right. They call me the latch man. And under this 10-gallon hat that you see when I take it off, I'm just a baby. I think like a baby. I crave like a baby. My needs are much like a baby's. And what I like to do is, if the baby sees me latch on, the baby and I connect. And when the baby sees me latch on, the baby wants to emulate what I'm doing. I'm not some sick pervert just trying to lap up breast milk because I think it'll make me live longer. But I will tell you this, I'm 167 years old. And I've been living on straight titty milk for about 100 of those years. I actually am from the Old West. Holy shit, sir, that's crazy. Is this documented? You seem like an insane person right now.
I made my way out to Fresno after the Louisiana Purchase.
Sacagawea, I knew her. Sucked her titties, too. Okay. Did she have a baby?
Good Lord, sir.
Why are you giving us this information? I just want you to know I'm from a long ilk.
Look, I apologize, okay?
I'm from a long ilk of milk.
My joints are as limber as a 14-year-old's. Doctor looked for arthritis. He found nothing.
My bones are so dense that I'm impervious to X-ray.
I can run a mile in 6 minutes.
I have more calcium in me than the entire crust of the earth.
Once picked up a Toyota Matrix, clean up to my waist.
That's right.
I'm skinny, but I'm dense. Now, you want this baby to feed or not?
You know what? I trust you. You've convinced me.
Sir.
Can I get that $10, though? And scene. I think we did it, man. I think there's some good stuff in there. Dude, it was fun talking to you, man. We will trademark, don't steal our sketch ideas that we just pitched live. No bad ideas. Everything's hitting the table. My question, Steve, is what are you working on? Where can people find you? Give them the old plug. Where are you at on Instagram and TikTok and all that shit? Give them the plug here, bud.
I'm on at Steve Rains Instagram. You can check me out, and that's about it. Just chugging away. One day at a time. Thanks for having me on. Love you, buddy.
Love you
has
too,
been
man. Congrats.
Awesome.
Congrats.
Blast.
Yeah, man. It's fun hanging out with you. Welcome anytime, and congrats on being a dad. And thanks for doing the show. We'll be back after a word from our sponsors. And we're back. Thank you so much for watching today's number 2 show or listening to today's number 2 show. I hope you had a good time. I had a good time. Special thanks to my buddy Rizz for sitting in on the first part, and my good buddy Steve Rains from driving down from Chicago and presenting Kevin Farley with the piece of his brother's memory, which was one of the sweetest moments I've been a part of in my radio career. And I hope that Kevin Farley takes that drywall that has Chris Farley's signature on it from Second City and hangs it up in the Farley compound up in Rockford, Illinois, or down in Florida where he's living. I don't know. I don't know where it's going to end up, but I'm glad that it got back to the rightful owner, which is the Farley family. And thank you guys for always tuning in, subscribing, and listening to the show. And if you like the show, here's how you can help me out. One, leave a comment on the YouTube stream or the Spotify. You can leave a comment anywhere, positive, preferably. Leave a good review. Be sure to like and subscribe, share, leave positive reviews on Spotify or Apple or wherever you listen to your podcasts. This is a podcast that, it's constantly evolving. And, I'm on a toilet. But that doesn't mean that everything we talk about is doo-doo. But I'm not a true crime podcast. I'm not a sports podcast. And I kind of, other than trying to be funny and entertaining, it's talk show, It kind of transcends some of these labels that we put on podcasts these days. So the best way for me to get the word out to people is you guys. Word of mouth. Like, hey, man, this is a pretty cool show. It's low stakes investment. I'm not trying to be your favorite podcast. I'm trying to be your second favorite podcast, okay? The number 2 show. Listen to your favorite podcast. This happens to me all the time. I listen to my favorite pods, listen to them in the car, listen to them going to sleep. I go to bed one night and I'm like, damn it, there's no new episodes of my favorite pods. What am I going to do? I'll tell you what you're going to do. You're going to listen to this one. You'll be like, you know what? I do have a second favorite pod. It's the number 2 show, and I'll let Rafe put me to sleep. Maybe I'll be up in bed giggling my little ass off because I'm having such a great time. Either way, I appreciate you guys spending your time with me. I don't take it for granted, and I want to continue to grow this show so I can do new, cool stuff and keep on doing episodes all through 2025 and beyond. Maybe I can go 50 years. Maybe I can be the next SNL. Maybe they'll be talking about me on a podcast on the toilet in the future about how I was the first toilet-themed podcast. Think about that. You could be part of what is a pioneering show. And you can get your friends and family involved. Force it down their throats. Share my clips. Send them my stand-up special. Be like, hey, I like this guy. I know he's an acquired taste, but I like him. You'll like him too. And I appreciate you guys doing it. Until next time, I'm your host, Rafe Williams. This is the number 2 show, year 2 of Over 50. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And until next time, always pull down your pants before you sit on the toilet. Goodbye.